Hello everybody, in today's video we're going to be going over an upcoming potential big snowstorm for portions of the northern plains, and then that'll eventually move into the northeast, where portions of the interior northeast might be getting a little bit more snow. We're going to be going over what 4 different models are showing. We're going to go over the GFS, the GFS parallel, as well as the Canadian and the European model. We're going to be going over all of those models and how much snowfall all of them are showing, and I'm just going to be generally breaking down what's happening with this storm, why it's forming the way it is, and kind of giving you an analysis of what may happen with this event. And I don't have my snowfall forecast out in today's video because there is still so much uncertainty with this storm, but as we do get closer to this event, I'll probably put out a snowfall forecast. So here is your current National Weather Service page. We currently do see some air stagnation advisories in effect for portions of the Pacific Northwest. So those areas are dealing with some air quality alerts and danger there. We're also dealing with some winter weather advisories in effect for portions of northern Washington state, as well as some high wind watches and warnings in effect for northern Montana, and some more wind advisories, high winds warnings for portions of California. We also see some red flag warnings in effect for portions of central and southern California there, where they're dealing with some fire danger, as well as for portions of central Nebraska. You guys are also dealing with some air quality alerts. And then we have dense fog advisories for western Minnesota and a couple counties in northwestern Iowa. And we also see some winter weather advisories for portions of western North Carolina. And then for Alaska and Hawaii, we have winter weather advisories in effect for central Alaska, as well as some blizzard warnings for southwestern Alaska. And for parts of Hawaii there, we have, I believe, those are high surf advisories in effect for some of the northern islands there of Hawaii. Now, here is the current GFS run and what it is showing with this event. Now, the GFS parallel and the Canadian model are probably the most outlandish solutions to have the most snowfall. The GFS is a lot less so on that snowfall, and the European model is kind of right in between all of them. So we're going to show you all of those models and just kind of go over what all of them are showing. And in no means is this a forecast just yet, because we still need to learn what's going to actually happen. Some models are bringing this a few hundred miles further north, some are bringing this a few hundred miles further south. So there's still so much that can change with this event. So here would be by Wednesday in the early afternoon if we were to do Pacific time, and we are looking at a little system off the coast of Baja California there, and that'll eventually move up to the north and to the west. Now, we have this already fairly cold air mass that's in place for portions of the western United States, and all this little system up to the north is going to do is unleash some of that cold air further to the south and to the east. So as we continue on in this model run, you can see a low pressure develops ahead of this. And then what that low pressure does is it comes down, picks up this other system, and then shoots it up into portions of the central plains, and you start to see that low pressure slowly moving in. We see some snow on that northwestern side, but what you don't see on the GFS is any real northern entity of any strength, really, that would increase some of your snowfall totals for these areas. So that's what we're not seeing on the GFS model that we're seeing on a lot of other models. So that's what makes the GFS actually one of the outlier models in this case scenario. Now, here would be by Friday, early in the afternoon, according to the GFS, we're dealing with heavy snow for portions of Iowa, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Nebraska. And that low pressure kind of just stalls out over Missouri, stays over that fairly similar area. You're dealing with a narrow area of snow as you get further to the north, and some rain as you get further to the south, if the GFS were to be correct. And this is still through Saturday, so some areas could be getting a decent thumping of snowfall out of this. Let's zoom out here because we do have a lot more going on that wouldn't be represented within that little shot there. So we're dealing with this trailing cold front as we get further to the north. We're seeing some sort of secondary low pressure system trying to develop right here. You see a little kink in the isobars, which is developing another cold front as you get further to the south over portions of New England. And then you're dealing with overall just a wide band of snow that stretches into portions of southeastern Quebec, through all of Quebec, and then into portions of western, actually that would be eastern and southern Ontario there, and then back through the western Great Lakes. So it's a very wide band of snow if the GFS were to be correct, and that just pulls away further to the north. Maybe a little bit of thunderstorm activity as well for portions of the northeast and portions of the mid-Atlantic. but that system really does get out of here, and all you see is lake effect on that backhand side. So here's what the GFS parallel model is showing for this event. We're dealing with, again, that little system off the coast of Baja California. We see that wave of energy that's moving out of Canada. That wave of energy is going to basically just move parallel to the east, but this one is going to kind of move up and further to the north and to the east, and eventually they'll combine somewhere over the north central United States. So let's see what the GFS parallel model does. So this would be by Wednesday early in the afternoon, and then continuing this through Thursday morning and Thursday early afternoon, we're starting to see this system pull away. I'll actually go back. So you see that low pressure over parts of Colorado. We see another low pressure system that would be right around here. So we have two different low pressure systems. This one kind of gets left behind and just stays further to the south, while this one pulls away to the north and to the east. And as that's still happening, you're seeing this other one pulling away to the south and to the east. So they're going to kind of merge together, as you'll see right here. So that system over Colorado stalls out there, and then it starts to move eastward and then eventually northward into portions of the Dakotas, where those areas are starting to see some snowfall by this point. This would be by Friday. Here's by Friday early in the afternoon, and the snow is getting a lot more widespread. You can definitely tell the difference where the GFS was actually showing some snowfall to portions of Minnesota, Iowa, Nebraska, Wisconsin, kind of within this area. But now what we're seeing with the GFS parallel is more of that snowfall further to the north, and it's a much wider band of snowfall as well. Maybe some convective activity also as you get further to the south and portions of Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, maybe stretching into Missouri there. So moving this forward, here would be by Friday afternoon and then getting to Saturday morning. That system is really moving very slowly, but eventually it'll get out of here. We're dealing also with some colder air on the back side of this. So you see those blue lines there, that's indicating where you have below 32-degree temperatures, or generally that would be your freezing line, and we're seeing that dip fairly far to the south, so that cold air will be moving in on that back side of the system. We do have warm air actually ahead of the system on that eastern side of the system. So moving this forward, we start to see here's by Saturday morning, and then here's by the early afternoon hours, and that rain is moving out to the east. That system as a whole is moving out to the east, but this is definitely going to be a slow mover. It's going to take a while for this to shoot out of here. Now here's what the Canadian model is showing, and then we'll show you the European model, and we're still dealing with, again, that system over just to the west or northwest of Baja California. We're dealing with that system that's going to unleash some of that colder air as you get further to the north. That'll move out to the east. This one will pull away to the north and to the east, and we'll see how those two interact from the Canadian model. So that system moves eastward and then eventually pushes up northward. We start to see what the GEM model or the Canadian model wants to do is actually move out that little system that was over portions of Washington and Idaho, move that out further to the east very quickly. So what it ends up doing is bringing in this big powerhouse low pressure system off the coast, and eventually some of that precipitation moves into this area where they combine and become a much bigger system. So here's what the Canadian model does. You can see that snow much further to the south, because instead of joining up with that system that was very far to the north and portions of the northern plains and the northern Rockies, it joined up with a system that was actually in the central Rockies. So that means that that cold air is further south. That means that that snow is going to be further south, and that means that the system as a whole will be further south, and that means that snow is going to be further south. So that's kind of the effects of what the GEM model is showing, or the Canadian model is showing. So that's definitely, I don't think that's the most realistic outlook, because really most of the models have been keeping that system offshore, that one that crashed into Oregon and California. And I'll actually play this back so you can see it. You see that little that little system off the shore of the west coast that crashes into the west coast and brings in some of that moisture. Right now that seems unlikely, so I'll show you the Canadian model, but again, take this with a grain of salt. The Canadian model is known to overdo these systems. We see that that snowfall start to head further to the north, we see some sort of secondary system over the southern Rockies. But keep your attention over portions of the northern plains because that is that big system that we're talking about. So we see that snow a little bit more of a south to north orientation than what the rest of the models that were showing. For example, the GFS parallel model was showing a little bit more of a band of snow like this. The GFS model was showing a band of snow like this. The Canadian model is now showing a band of snow that's a little bit more like this. So that's already making the Canadian model a little bit more of an outlier model and something that we're gonna have to look at, but we're gonna also have to take it with precaution. So here would be by Saturday, and getting through the day on Saturday, it's starting to move out, and the GEM model definitely has a much stronger solution than what most of the other models are showing, and we'll show you those snow totals in just a little bit. So here would be what the European model is showing. We see that system over portions of the northwest and also into southern Canada there, and we see another system out over Baja California. That'll move out to the north and to the east, and we'll see this one kind of move a little bit further to the east. So let's see what the European model does with the storm. So we see the system drop down from the northern United States. That one starts to drop down. We see that other one come up from Baja California, and eventually they will meet with some cold air over portions, probably over Oklahoma, Kansas, or Nebraska. Those are the area that's probably going to join up together. Now, this would be by Friday morning. We're starting to see it push up into the northern plains, and you see more of an east-west orientation of that snowfall. And this would kind of be a mixture of what the GFS parallel and the GFS model were showing. If you were to kind of take the average of both of them, the GFS parallel was further to the north, the GFS was much further to the south. So the European probably, I would say, is the most stable solution here. Not too crazy, kind of right in the middle of what all the models are showing for the most part. So this would definitely be something that you want to take with a little more, you want to kind of value this one a little bit more because it is agreeing a lot more with the other models. It is kind of on that moderate side. It's not showing too extreme of a solution. So definitely I'm agreeing with the European a lot more on this. Now, here would be by Friday morning. Here's by Friday night. Here's by Saturday morning. We're dealing with that system still over the Great Lakes, but it's starting to slowly move out to the east. It is going to be, again, a slow mover. It's really just stationary for the most part over Illinois, Indiana, that area where that low pressure is sitting. So I'll draw it in here. Here's your low pressure by this point. That is going to move out to the north and to the east. We see that elongated area of snowfall up to the north, and it is going to take, again, a while for this to move out. So even though the snow might be light to moderate, it will definitely add up if you are seeing that snow for a good 24 to 36 hours if some of these models were to be correct. You see some of that colder swing behind the system, so maybe on that southern and western end of the system you see a little bit of snowfall in the form of lake effect. That definitely can't be ruled out here. So here are your snowfall totals from the European model, and we see some decent amounts, closer to 6 to 12 or even more inches of snowfall over the northern Great Lakes according to this system. And then you see to the south of this main snow band, you do actually have a quite big area of some snowfall. That would be probably lighter snowfall, mainly lake effect snowfall, so nothing too major there. Now, here's what the GFS model is showing, and you can see that big area of snowfall that was over Nebraska, Iowa, Wisconsin, and that area sets up over there. You see maybe close to 46 inches in some of those areas. And then again, on that southern end of the system, you might still be dealing with some lake effect on that backhand of the system. Now, here would be what the Canadian model is showing out of this event, and it's a lot bigger of a storm if the Canadian model were to be correct, but it would also be further to the north and west over the Dakotas and Minnesota, and then still you see that snowfall on that backhand side with some of that lake effect. So either way, a lot of these areas will be getting some snowfall. It's just going to be where does that heaviest snowfall set up. Here's that GFS parallel model if you are curious as well, and you see it kind of agrees a lot more with what the European model is showing with this, showing the main snow totals of 6+ inches over Minnesota and northern Wisconsin, and that's definitely not anything that's unusual from what we've seen already this fall and winter season. So this is going to wrap it up for today's video. If you do have any questions, leave your comment down below and I'll be answering all your questions. If you want a personal forecast, I'll kind of discuss what I'm thinking for your area preliminarily. I'm not going to give you a full detailed forecast just yet because we don't have those details just yet. So if you want a personal forecast, leave your general area down below. So a state, what part of a state you're in, just anything that would help me give you a forecast for your area. And also, please consider leaving a like on the video. Helps it get out to more people. And be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss another one of my daily uploads. Now, I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.